Well, this is another podcast where my companion Kevin Brittingham is not here, so I had to call in the troops. I kind of said it on a podcast that I did with Guerrilla Tactical. Kevin is he's been in the industry for 30 something years now, and all of his basically his friends and his peers, they're all kind of the old guard of the industry, and I'm a younger boy. So the people that I know within the industry are kind of a newer generation. And I think it's important to show the other side of the industry than we've seen on this podcast before. So I've brought in starting to bring in younger guys, the up and coming guys and showing them off. But I also think it's important too, because we've talked about it a little before. And I think in the industry that you're in, you'll say the same thing, but we're so close because we're directly involved with guns that it's hard for us, even though on the marketing team, we're marketing to consumers. It's kind of hard to know what the consumers are seeing. So you guys are not in the gun industry. I think you just built guns. So it seems like you're interested in guns, but you're consumers. And I think that it's important to kind of hear from you, like how you view the industry, and just kind of what you see, things that you think are cool, things that you aren't. And we'll get into all that, but we can start with some background stuff. So I'm not really entirely sure who either of you are, but if you want to introduce yourself, you can do that.
You're in the middle. Go first.
I'm Craig Kenyon, part owner of the Eazy Company.
I'm John Repetto, part owner of the Eazy Company.
Wow. For those who are not familiar with the Eazy Company, they probably see me wearing Eazy Company shirts in every video.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to pay your bills. But what is the Eazy Company? Are you guys like a military unit or something?
For sure.
Now we're a custom motorcycle shop out of the ghetto of Worcester, Mass.
I like that.
Yeah. Right. So we build custom motorcycles strictly, or basically vintage choppers, vintage Harleys, all that stuff is what we specialize in.
Yeah.
Is that category of the motorcycle world. We don't really do anything besides carbureted motorcycles.
Cool. Yeah.
We pigeonholed ourselves pretty good.
Yeah. So before that, I guess, how did you get into doing that? The motorcycle stuff?
The bike stuff, I've been around my whole life. My uncles all, had motorcycles at various times, and it seems to be pretty standard that, like, if you're into skateboarding and you get too old to kickflip down stuff, you get into choppers. Yeah. So it was kind of that route for me. And then you were like right in the pocket of it, like right at the same time. We were both kind of.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably Instagram or something that pulls us to something. I don't know. My family is not into motorcycles, so
okay.
Yeah,
it was definitely like I kind of knew a couple things, like as far as what was what, and then we were on tour and we bought I think it was like a horseback street chopper magazine, like off the shelf, and started looking through it. And then Max Schaff's blog, his stuff definitely was like, because he was a pro skateboarder and he was building cool choppers at the time, kind of just got us into looking at that stuff and knowing, metal fabrication. It was like, oh, maybe we can do this. So we bought iron heads, thinking that was the best way to learn how to work on Harleys. Yeah. And it was. Yeah, especially vintage Harleys.
So you say you were on tour. Were you guys in a band or something?
Oh, man. Had to do it.
Yeah, I had to do it. We worked for a band called 4 Year Strong.
Never heard of them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So they're a band out of Worcester, and they play pop punk. If you're into pop punk, you know who they are.
Yeah, if you're 16.
If you're 12, yeah. If you were 12 in 2005, then you know who they are.
Yeah, absolutely.
That we started touring with them. He started touring with them first, doing merch and all that stuff, and then I got in guitar tagging. Can't play guitar at all.
Perfect.
I just faked it.
Perfect guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't know how to build guns. Don't know how to play guitar.
There it is. Yeah. Well, you know how to build guns now.
Yeah, that's true. I am in the gun industry.
I don't know if you know how to play guitar yet, but
nope.
Yeah, it's funny that you kind of said as far as like the transition from a lot of guys that skated, they just kind of transitioned to one thing or another. Jack from Guerrilla Tactical, who we just had on before, he's a hardcore kid from New York, and kind of it developed. It's like he didn't want to end up being a barber or a tattooer or whatever, or apparently a bike builder. So yeah, he went on to different stuff, but it's kind of funny how there's 4 outcomes for what you do depending on how you grow up.
Pretty much.
But so how long have you guys had the shop
It'll be 10 years in November.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
Is there a big 10-year party?
We're definitely planning something. It'll probably not be as exciting as we say it is, but we want to have something. Now that there's a bar in our building, and it'll make it a little easier.
I didn't know that.
To have a party, yeah. New tradition.
You've been hanging out over there?
Never.
Yeah.
Absolutely never.
Craig's their number one customer.
Yeah.
They sell a lot of polar seltzers too.
Yeah. That's tight.
Yeah. I stay away from it because I'll have a problem if I don't.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice. So I've been to your shop, Juan's.
Yep.
Took some photos. You guys do cool stuff for sure. You have a YouTube channel as well.
Yes.
And big YouTube guys.
That's it.
You guys are all monetized on there and all that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice. So I guess for me, I mean, I like the bike side of everything in general. Our consumers, probably don't. They're probably like, look at these guys. No, but I'm sure there's plenty of people that I know for a fact. There's a lot of guys that have some cool bikes that are going to be interested for sure. But I guess gun related stuff, because you guys also live in a state that is not super friendly with guns.
Sure, they sure aren't.
So how did you? I know recently you've kind of gotten more into guns and kind of seeing the different companies that are up and coming, and like you heard of us, and but have you been exposed to guns since you were younger, or especially being in Mass, or is this kind of just like a new discovery?
I have been exposed to guns most of my life. My grandfather had guns, when I was a kid growing up. Got me into. He's the reason I got into archery, which obviously isn't guns, but he was into shooting guns. Shooting bows, all that stuff. So like he had a pump gauge 16 shotgun in our basement, and a bolt action 308. And he would go hunting with his friends, and they would basically just get drunk and never get anything.
Shoot trash.
Straight up.
Yeah.
But that, and then I have a couple crazy ass uncles that are into it, so it's always been around.
Yeah.
And then
my family is not into it at all.
Tight.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
So they're gonna be super bummed.
Not into bikes, not into guns.
Super really proud of you.
Into anything, but I love you guys. No, I think my dad owned guns when I was younger, and my mom made him sell them. So I never had any exposure until I was probably like, how old were you? 16, hanging out with Dan.
Yeah, our boy Dan. That's another big influence. I totally forgot about that.
He would be my first influence. Yeah,
our boy Dan Sullivan. Shout out to Dan Sullivan. Him and his father in Norfolk, Mass were like the guys.
Yeah.
Like they just had property behind their house, and Dan just had guns since the second he was able to get a license. His dad was super into it. They're like so Christian and so into guns. It's like crazy. And it was like really the first time we were like, because we'd go over his place all the time.
Right.
And it was the first time that we were just around guns all the time. Like there was just, check this out. I just bought this. Like, always pulling stuff out.
Yeah.
They were a big revolver family.
Yeah. Well, that's Massachusetts.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that's a pretty normal thing. Like it's not like you had a weird experience to get into guns, or I think a lot of people are that way. And I guess it's kind of cool because even just between the two of you, like I know X amount gun, X, Y, Z about this gun, that gun, whatever. But I know that you recently have gotten more interested. Like I asked about Reptilia, and you knew what they were. You knew what Reptilia was. So it's definitely. I think you had similar finding guns. You went to old Dan Sullivan's house and shot some guns. But I guess from your standpoint, how do you view the gun industry? Like you're in the bike, I guess the custom bike world.
Yeah.
The way that you see that world and the way I see it and the way that people that watch us are going to be entirely different. Were you aware of the size of the gun industry, I guess, first of all, like the millions of gun owners in the US, like, were you aware of how many different companies there were, what people were doing, the differences, X, Y, Z?
Absolutely not. I had no idea.
I didn't know how intense it gets. Like it was definitely like, the classic brands that are out there. They've been out there forever. But I didn't know how intense everything got. Like it's a lot of information coming at you from all different directions, and everybody's got an opinion. It's exactly like bikes. Like if you're just getting into bikes, it's super overwhelming. Like you don't know this motor from that motor, but it's just, you're just seeing stuff all the time, and you're like, is that the same thing? Like you're not sure what's what.
And I'm sure it's similar in the bike world where it's like if you were to put, like you just said, you get all these options, you finally put something together. You get the money, you put something together, and you're super proud of your build, and you go show it off, and everyone's like, "You're a fucking idiot."
100%.
That sucks. Like, don't use that.
Yep.
The gun world's exactly the same.
Yeah.
And it's cool because there's a comparison, but it's like in the gun world, we're all honestly, Q is an outlier, but in general, every company's doing the same thing in the sense of like they're building a very similar system, trying to tell you that this is the system that you want. Ours is better than everybody else's.
Right.
Sure, it's exactly the same, but ours is the best one. And there's a lot of blind loyalty. Someone will like this company and not this company, but they get their stuff made in the same spot. Just stuff like that. But yeah, as far as how did you hear about Q? Unless it was through me.
You.
I don't know. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
You're the one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's another interesting point is like we're based in New Hampshire. You guys are about 2 hours away.
Right.
Locally, no one knows who we are. Very like
that's so strange. I mean, it's strange to me that they don't because you guys have like a big operation. Like there's like a lot of stuff happening.
I was gonna say you guys saw it today.
Yeah.
And you said it was not what you expected.
No, like I don't know. I just was picturing like somebody standing over everybody being like, this is a gun. Make sure it's like, like, what are you doing? What is this? Like there's weird checks and balances and stuff and like weird, like, just I guess maybe because mass has just brainwashed us into thinking stuff like that.
It's just at the end of the line. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was like, I don't know, just like not, what we saw. It was great. Like it was cool as hell. It's just like a machine shop. Like it's what we've all grown up seeing, going to trade school and doing all that stuff. Like I just never thought like that would be the same thing.
Right.
Yeah. It just didn't cross my mind.
Yeah. No, it's a cool operation. A lot of people think we're smaller than we are. A lot of people think we're bigger than we are or whatever. So it's interesting to everyone. So since Q, I know we've talked since being down at actually I came down to, I saw you guys at Easy Times, not Hard Times. I've never heard of it.
See you later.
Yeah. The chopper show you guys do every year in Worcester. What is it? Worcester Bike Week.
Worcester Bike Week.
It's a day long or
That's
whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
8 hours.
Long. That's right.
That's all it takes.
And we saw each other there and you had kind of told me like, dude, I've gotten so much more into guns and learned about this company or that company. And a lot of it was people following you, a separate account that you have, which blew my mind that's who you were. Cause I've followed that account for a bit and it was weird to find out who was behind it.
I love that.
And you can out yourself if you want to, but
I run an Instagram called Jive Temple.
Yeah.
Shittiest name. I don't know why.
Everybody in Connecticut's going to be so bummed out.
They're not going to watch this.
I know. They don't know it. Yeah.
It's crazy though. So we work closely with the Field Ethos Journal, which is Donald Trump Jr. It's one of his businesses.
Right.
It's a bunch of our friends. We've been on trips with them. They come, we do stuff with them. Some of the guns in the donut shop that you saw, they were collaborations with them. And I was down at the other like founder's house and I was sitting in his kitchen. He said, "Oh, you got to follow this account. It's right up your alley. It's called Jive Temple." And I was like, "Oh, I've seen like my friends like Warm Fuzzy and Doghead Collective and all these bigger names, Tack on Fish. I've seen them share a bunch of stuff. Yeah, I'll follow them, whatever." And so I started following a while ago, but it's funny to me that it's like Don Jr., the former president's son, is like a Jive Temple dude.
That's insane to me.
Yeah.
Shout out Don Jr.
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah, the Don. Yeah.
Let's go hog hunting, dog.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah,
Let's do it.
Yeah. So it's cool but I think from that, because I know a lot of gun guys follow that account.
I found that out through literally my main interest or main reason for being into guns is because of that Instagram. Right now.
It definitely fueled, like, I remember him telling me, because I'd get like update. Like I remember him taking pictures of like the Easy Riders we have, because we have like an insane collection of Easy Riders, and he would just be like, "Oh, I'm just gonna try this thing," and he was like taking all these Easy Rider pictures, and then eventually it like grew and grew into like, he's like, "I got all these gun guys following me," and I'm like, "What do you mean, like gun guy?" Like I didn't know that.
Right.
Like I don't know. Again, I don't know.
You didn't know the industry.
I just didn't know the industry. I didn't know like how many like gun influencers were out there, and like what was going on with all that stuff, and like, and then he was showing me stuff, and I'm like, "Oh, this stuff's like cool as hell. Like what's up with all this?"
Yeah.
Like,
if you're not looking for it. You know
right.
What I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
and Instagram's doing a hell of a job to not keeping it all down low.
They hid that from me. I don't like that.
Right. Yeah. And now I'm sure your algorithm is crazy.
Oh, we're red flag left and right, dude.
Yeah. We have a lot of, I don't know if it's happened to us yet. I mean, we've had a bunch of accounts nuked, but there's we have friends that if you follow them, you'll get a message, a warning, basically being like they share misinformation. And
We got a couple friends like that.
yeah. So it's like they don't, but it's just whatever. It's Instagram. But so I think that's cool that you were exposed to these accounts that you probably had never heard of before, and now you're able to look through them. Are there any that you can think of? And like we talk a lot at Q, we talk a lot of shit, but like in reality, we're pretty much cool with everyone, unless you're doing dumb shit and copying us. We don't have real beef with people, with the exception of a few. But so definitely don't be like, oh, I don't want to talk about that person because they're anti-Q. But are there any accounts that really stood out to you when you first started seeing those?
Well, warm fuzzy, that was a big one.
Yeah,
because he started sharing all my posts and shit
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
So that would be a main one. And then from there came Grand Thumb and all this other
Yeah.
stuff. I was like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
This is a whole different
And
thing.
then like finding the Dirty Kids channel,
Yeah.
and like all that stuff.
Yep.
Like it was like, oh, all right, this is like a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, this is and it seeing all that stuff kind of influenced like our channel
Yeah.
a bit. Like seeing like what those guys, it's like, oh, all right, they're doing like they're just being themselves, like having fun. And it's like we were doing that too, but it's like, oh, maybe we can kind of like steal some shit from there, like the stuff that they're doing. Yeah, we're like
100%.
fucking whatever.
But yeah, it's cool because again, you were in this other atmosphere. You were in this other window. And like I've watched your channel for a while, and then I would hear people come in. Mostly, I don't know him, but mostly Greg would come in and I would hear him speak, and I'm like, these guys are around here.
Yeah.
And then
He's a dead giveaway.
And then I looked up, I'm like, oh, you guys are wicked close, whatever. But so you're in your own little atmosphere, and the content that you guys were putting out was so much like, I think there's been this shift on YouTube where people are taking in this long form, these long form videos or longer, 10 minutes plus, 10 to 20 to 30, whatever. And it was so much nicer to watch your videos because it was very evident that it's relatable. You're just doing whatever you're doing that day.
Right.
The production level is fine. Like for what it is, it's real. It's like vlog level. You weren't going over the top, like getting crazy cinema cameras, all this stuff. So it has that feeling of being real. What's going on? I know it's not a real motorcycle shop. I know there's all colors and curtains. No, but
It's all AI.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all AI.
But it's cool to see that because you weren't ripping that from the gun world or anything like that. You're just doing that naturally. So to see that, I can imagine it's cool to see that, oh yeah, we're doing the same thing over here, whatever,
100%.
that sort of stuff. But actually we were just talking, James and I were just talking about Dirty Kids video, and like their production's so good. Like they do the vlog style, and then they'll do edits within there. They do a really good job.
Yeah. They to me, like that stuff's like, I get like, you get like kind of excited about when a new one comes out. You're like, oh, this is cool. Like, this is like, I want to see like what kind of bullshit they're doing. Like,
Right.
That range day they just put out, like it was
the one
funny.
on the one on the
in that
in
one
the
they
desert,
built,
or the football field,
the football
one?
field one, which was like, dude, it was just like, it's funny, it's like it's just good, it's like it's entertaining enough to the point where you're like, I don't want to look away, like I want to watch the whole thing, you know what I mean?
I think that's something that you would see if you had seen what gun content was before the last. I only know the last 15 years, maybe.
Right.
Because I was into guns before I got into the industry. But the content before that, with the exception of like H&K was always different. H&K did a lot of cool videos of them doing cool guy stuff, like for marketing.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, and guns are a serious thing. We know, like everyone knows that.
Right.
They're a serious thing. But it's also okay to have fun. As long as you're being relatively safe. It's okay to have fun. And you wouldn't see that in gun content. Everything was super serious. A lot of real tough guy shit, like black guns and skulls and cross rifles and all this
Punisher
stuff.
skulls, maybe
like tactical,
I'm
whatever.
only about that.
And I won't like AAC. It's funny because Kevin is very anti that now, but I mean at AAC they're doing the skull and cross rifles and this and that, and that was just a different time. But now, like you look at all of our guns, within the last 2 days, just released a gun that's in the color black. Other than that, it's like we only have bright colors, and like you've seen all the artwork in the building and stuff like that. So it's cool to see that. It's for me, I think it's cool that you guys are joining learning about the gun world where it's at right now, where this newer generation has come and they've made it palatable. Because before, Like, and there's still, I mean, if you can get any kind of content you want, like Ian McCollum from Forgotten Weapons, Gun Jesus, he's a friend of ours. He's been here. He's been on the podcast. The most intelligent dude on the planet, basically.
Right.
Knows everything about any gun you've ever thought of. And he explains it in very easy to understand terms. But you're going to sit there and you're going to watch him tell you about the gun. He's going to break the gun down, show you how it works, the mechanics. Like, and that's interesting to people. Like, I like some of them.
Yeah.
I like most of them, actually, especially the historic side. But that's how it all used to be. It was only that. Now you're getting the dudes, not even just we're shooting at the range, but it's driving to the range to get there and the bullshit that happens in between, or just having fun.
Like them in Vegas, back to that Dirty Kids, like them in Vegas, like the SHOT Show and all that stuff. And and then going out into the field, like out into,
it's all public land out there,
public land or whatever, out into the range or whatever, and shooting. It was like, it was cool to see all that. Like, it was cool to see them like go, and I think they like bought a car or something like in the thing, or they did something. They were like doing something. And like, it was just cool to see like something that just didn't involve like a gun every 3 seconds. Like, it needed to be, they needed to talk about this and that.
It's like gun people that saw a skate video.
Exactly.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And I think that's the thing is, like, my generation of the gun world, we all grew up watching CKY and Wild Boys and Jackass and all that. Like, that's what we grew up on. So that's all we know. Like, so when you hire these kids in these companies, even these companies like Smith & Wesson, Ruger, these bigger companies, you're hiring these younger kids and going, yeah, this is how we want you to market. It's like, all these kids know how to do is make skate films and just do dumb shit.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think it's cool that it's transitioning that way. It's also cool that that's what's grabbing people's attention, because it's getting people who wouldn't have been like you guys said, you knew of guns before. It's like, oh yeah, the grandfather's rifle and this and that.
Yeah.
But you have your own thing. You're interested in whatever. But this seeing content that appeals to you, you may not be able to name any of the guns in the video, but I know that you like the video, and that's what's going to get people into it. So it's getting people outside of guns into it, and I think that that's super important. I also think it's really important, and this podcast is part of that. Is I think it's so important to educate the consumer, because you said it before, there's an overwhelming amount of data, guns, just everything. Like, I can go, I mean, we have some guns from other companies as well that we use to test and stuff out in where the engineers are. I'm sure I could, and it's not to nag anyone in here, but I'm sure I could go grab 3 black AR-15s, bring them down and be like, what's what? Right. And I don't expect you to be like, well, that's a Daniel Defense and that's a Geisley and that's a Sons of like, I don't expect you to be able to do that, because there's so many options or whatever. But I do think it's important to, if people are going to get into it, to be able to kind of educate that consumer. And I don't expect it to be the same way in the bike world or whatever.
Well, so the bike stuff, like, I guess back onto the YouTube thing, like, I mean, you can look back on old videos that anybody used to put out 7, 8 years ago on the bike, like on the bike industry. It was the most bland, like 90% of the time it was some guy in his house, like filming with like a Nextel phone, trying to show you how to adjust the clutch.
Teaching you stuff.
Yeah, it's all teaching. It's
which
all,
I'm into.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I was going to ask too, like, were there guys doing what, and I don't mean doing what you're doing in the sense of like the style of video, but like the only bike videos I can think of were clips from like Discovery Channel, like biker build offs and like that kind of stuff. Were there that grassroots, like YouTube style? Like,
so he got bored of Instagram and was like, we need to start, like, let's try YouTube. And I was like, no. I was like, no, we already have enough shit to do. So he started filming like informative, like how to do this, how to do that videos, like how-to videos. And then it just slowly turned into like, well, I have to do something on this thing that you're filming. So like, I have to be in the shot. So we'll just do that. And then the banter worked.
Yeah.
And it just kind of progressed from there. Like, it was fun. And we were like finally having fun instead of it being just stale ass Instagram.
Right.
So we were like, oh, all right, well, let's just try doing it again. And like, we filmed something else, and like, we put a video out. I remember it was like the start of COVID, like right when it hit. And we had our boy's dad's bike that we built for him at the shop. And we were all like, there was a bunch of us out there, like, cause it was the first time starting it. So Craig's like, oh, I'll just grab the camera. And like, Greg was there, and like, you know, his dog running around, and our buddy Joe. And like, we put it out, and it was like the first video that actually like did well. Mm-hmm. And we were like, we didn't do anything in this. Like, we just fucking fucked off. And,
it's relatable.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
And started a bike up and showed them the bike and like talked about it a little bit. And like, it worked, and we were like, oh, all right, we don't have to do much. All right.
Yeah.
Like, and Craig, in the beginning, Craig was like, I want to just be able to film and not have to edit.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Just hit start and stop
Yeah.
and then not have to do
and then
anything.
not have to do shit. So we were like, all right, let's just try it. And it just snowballed from there, you know, but you look back on old videos that are out there, it's all some guy in his garage, like you can barely hear him
Yeah.
or they're not even talking. They're just doing
And
something.
it's in like 480, so you can't tell what he's doing.
Yeah.
It's
So it's like that, the generation of like, cause like now we've been out on YouTube for long enough where kids that are getting into it are like, yo, I got into it because I saw your YouTube channel. And
Yeah.
we're like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Where it's like before it was like none of that was happening. No one gave a shit what was going on. It was like, yeah, Discovery Channel clips and like the guys in their garage doing nothing. But once we got on YouTube, we found like we didn't realize how many people first off watched YouTube, and then we found like Shade Tree Surgeon and all the guys in Florida like Weems.
The dude, Shade Tree.
Yeah, Shade Tree, Weems, Shay Lacey, like all those, like it was basically like
There's
just
a
Florida.
yeah. I was gonna say it's just like a handful. Yeah, and
There's like a handful of guys and girls in Tampa doing it, and like we didn't realize that they even existed.
Yeah,
and they were like, oh, there's these like this channel is these are actually like people that have like real followings, and they're in the motorcycle world that we knew nothing about.
Right.
them.
Yeah.
So once that happened, like once we started getting into YouTube, we found that there was a whole other community of people that didn't even fuck with people on like that were going to like other bike shows like that we were going to and stuff like we'd never seen them before. So it was like,
Well, they weren't necessarily into choppers.
that's true.
I think that's
yeah. Yeah, because Weems is he's into like British bikes.
Weems is
and stuff,
into
right?
British choppers,
Yeah.
like and like yes, that stuff like old British stuff. We ended up becoming really good friends with Weems like pretty early on. So once that all happened, it was early enough to where there really wasn't that many people doing it. It was us and fucking 5 other guys. That guy Blockhead, who he wasn't even doing chopper shit either. None of those guys were doing chopper shit. And then we came on the scene.
That's right.
Doing chopper shit.
The OG guys. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, because Shade Tree Surgeon will drive like a Gold Wing somewhere.
Hell
like
yeah,
a Silver Wing Cross, like that kind of stuff. But yeah, as far as, because that's the thing is like I grew up around, like my dad's always had Harleys growing up. And like my basically stepdad, my mom's boyfriend, he's like in the garage right now. He's got a 51 panhead and then he just got a 66 shovel. So like pre-AMF, whatever.
That's the dude that you came to Low Life's thing with.
Yeah.
I sold it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he bought like a bunch of mouse traps.
Bought like a bunch of stuff from me.
Yeah. So yeah, he's always been into bikes, whatever. So I've always been around bikes. I've never had money for it.
Right.
But so like watching, I was looking for content because I know the content in the gun world. I'm like, I wonder if this exists elsewhere.
Yeah.
And other things that I'm interested in. And that's how I found you guys. I think the first like clip I saw of you guys was, I think all of you trying to kick someone's panhead.
Sure.
And
sounds about right.
I don't think it ever turned over in the
Probably
video.
not.
Sounds about right.
I don't think it ever turned over in the video, or maybe Paul turned it over or something.
Yeah.
But,
that was definitely something that people were not doing was just failing
Right.
on
Yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah.
We were like very okay with just we're like, we need a video, whatever.
And that's what people like, because it's the relatability is the huge thing. And I think that's what translates the most. That's how, like, once I was like, there's another kid that I work with. I say work with, I've worked with him in the past. He's a good buddy. He's a photographer and videographer in the industry. Super into your channel, like he's from Arkansas, like completely different areas or whatever. So you guys have the reach for sure, but super into your channel.
Shout out to that kid.
I was talking to Liam out here, and Liam's into bikes too. And he's got like a Super Duke, and then he's got he's got like a cone shovel or something.
Yeah, cool.
And when I said you guys were coming, because I told him like, oh yeah, watch this channel, whatever, and he's super into it. And then we talked about it. I was like, oh, they're coming up. He's like, oh, tell him bring Paul.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's cool because that's another thing within guns that I'm not sure if it's the same way with bikes. I doubt it, but in guns, it's just becoming okay to have other hobbies.
Okay, because that's the same thing with bikes too.
Yeah.
It's the same exact shit. Like you were a skateboarder or you were into hardcore, but then now you're into bikes, and that's you delete all your pictures on Instagram.
Yeah.
And all you put up is the shit. You working on your bike and like you hanging out with your motorcycle.
Yeah.
And nothing else exists. And then him getting into gun, like we'd gotten our gun license years ago.
Yeah.
Like 2012?
Or our certificate.
Or we did our class.
You're right. Yeah.
2012 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then we sat on it like forever.
Didn't think about it.
Didn't even think about it. Just did the class. My uncle's boy put the class on, We all signed up. His dad, his brother signed up. We
Yeah.
all went, and I was very hungover for it.
Yeah.
Probably. Exactly. And then we just sat on the licenses forever. And he was like, "Hey, it's time. Let's go."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "All right, cool. Let's do it. Like, fuck it."
Yeah.
It's like, it was like always like, oh man, I don't need to have another, because we were so deep into bikes, like so going so crazy that it was like, I don't need another thing to.
This isn't a cheap hobby.
It's not.
Not at all.
It's not. We only like expensive hobbies.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
we don't have money, but we like
Yeah.
expensive hobbies.
I was gonna say, like, to jump into the gun world, to like go start learning about guns, building guns. Like, you came to a pretty not super
Oh, this is an entry level.
approachable. Yeah, this isn't the most approachable company to come into.
Right.
But yeah, it's cool, and I hope that you have the opportunities to check out other companies as well.
Dude, I didn't even know SIG was in New Hampshire.
Yeah, they're
Straight up.
I didn't know that either.
I had no idea.
So like they moved the facility, but there was one of their facilities that I worked in. We could walk to it.
Oh, yeah.
From here.
And then you were like, see you later.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically. But yeah, so they're like whatever, 10, 15 minutes down the road. And Kevin says, he's like, it's by design. He's a bunch of our guys came from SIG, like Kevin and Ethan and the guys that kind of started the company here had this idea. Like they knew what other companies were and they're like, let's do our own thing that's not like that.
Right.
And we've had a bunch of people come out, like pretty much all of production right now. Like you saw all the guys putting guns together.
Yeah.
Most of those guys came over from SIG. They're like, oh, this sucks. And then their buddy who works here was like, dude, come over here. It's way better over here. And they jump ship. So
It's like the Apple Mac situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the same. Like those dudes started like down the street from each other, and didn't they? And it's like the same jumping back and forth, right?
Apple Mac.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Is that a thing?
Apple and Mac, right? Apple and
Microsoft.
Microsoft. Yeah.
Apples to Apple.
Did I say Apple and Mac?
Yeah.
Yeah. Apple and Microsoft. Sorry.
Yeah. No,
I knew what you meant.
I drank a bunch of that oil you were putting on the gun.
That's
earlier,
right.
so.
Yeah. It looked like beer. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's cool. I think it's cool for people, especially in the gun world, to finally be like, okay, I can like other things. For a long time, like it was just always so serious.
Yeah.
And a huge proponent of it, and someone who kind of will put it in your face, is Corey from Superior Defense.
Okay. Yeah.
If you follow Subdef on Instagram, you will see he's always doing something, whether he's playing hockey or driving cars, or he's very into tea. He's very into like office furniture.
Right.
Very strange things, but
Office furniture.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, a lot of office furniture.
All right.
But people see that, and now you have all these guys being like, "Oh, I'm into overlanding. I'm into bikes. I'm into this." And honestly, like, I'm starting to see a little bit of a merge with, at least out west, the chopper scene.
100%.
Merging with guns.
We were talking about it on the way up, that like that it correlates so well, and I know there's a bunch of guys that are into guns that just don't talk about it and don't care to,
Right.
And like. But like our buddy Jason's been into guns forever, you know what I mean? And when he found out that we were like getting serious about like buying guns and shit like that, like he was psyched. Like he's a dude that we've literally been riding bikes with for 15 years.
Yeah.
He's one of our, closest friends, and he was into bikes, but then he did a custom knife company called the Blood Creek, and he
Oh yeah. Okay.
and so he was kind of like always had something going on adjacent to motorcycles, but it was involved in motorcycles were involved in everything he was doing. And I see the same shit with we both were talking about like the gun stuff.
Yeah.
He's into gun, like there's all those guys. I mean, it makes sense. Like,
Right. Yeah. Like Party in the Pen out in Idaho now is like, my buddy Breck helps put that on, and Breck, he's Doghead Collective.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And does stuff with Warm Fuzzy or whatever. So I think actually now, which is kind of crazy.
That's a dude's stuff that I'm like, that's rad. That shit's rad.
I think Warm Fuzzy, he is going to be one of the first to do it, but I think he's given away some Hiluxes, Toyota Hiluxes before. I think they're about to do at Party in the Pen. I think he's going to give away 2 bikes.
Really?
Awesome. That I forget who built them. It's not Tony Medellin, but it's someone else built them. It's I can think of who it is, but off the top of my head I can't. But some Idaho dudes.
Is it Chop Merchant or
Chop merchandise?
Yes, I think it is. Yes. Because they're born free dudes. Like he puts
on Party
of the Pen. Yeah. So they might be bikes that he built. But I think Warm Fuzzy is going to give away a bike or 2 bikes or whatever. And so I think that's another kind of opportunity where it's like a forced like, oh, you're into bikes, you're going to be into guns too.
Yeah, I think it should. I mean, it's cool. Like the way that, and the content stuff's similar. Like it's a lot of the same. Like you're taking a picture of an inanimate object
Yeah.
constantly.
Right.
Like we're just taking pictures of bikes and weird sceneries,
Right.
and like you're doing the same shit with guns.
100%.
And a lot of guys that are into bikes are into guns, and
Yeah.
vice versa. It's a tale as old as time.
Yeah, absolutely. As a consumer, or finding your way into guns, are there things that you notice you're not able to see, you're not able to find? Are there things that you wish were easier to, I guess, discover? Like as you're trying to learn about guns, are there things that you're like, I wish I could see this, or I wish I could know about this, or they did a bad job at doing this, that kind of thing? Is there anything you can think of like that?
You got anything?
I don't know.
I wish I could
a
figure out the
weird
goddamn
question,
mass laws. to be
Yeah.
honest.
that's a whole.
that's a whole,
that's crazy.
yeah, it's nuts.
It's expensive. So
It is.
like
It is.
getting anywhere first is you got to spend money.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that hurdle of being in a state that like kind of shuts you down at every turn, where you're like, that's a sick fucking gun.
Yeah.
Can I have it? And then you're like, wait,
No.
can I? No.
And then sometimes they won't tell you. You're like, can I have it? I'm like, I don't know.
buy
Find
it,
out.
buy
Yeah.
it, and find out.
There's
Yeah.
not a law on it.
Right.
Right.
But you can't have it.
Yeah.
If you assemble it though, like in the proper form, like maybe you can have
Right.
it. Or
But we're not going to tell you because
exactly,
we want to arrest you.
exactly. Like, hey, we'll put it together and see what happens. Here are the handcuffs.
Do you have any, now that you're learning about some new companies, do you have any ideas of, I mean, we talked about content wise, like things to bring over to what you do. Do you have any things, you don't have to say them, but do you have any things that you see within the gun world? You're like, like that's cool. We should start doing that. Or like, not even like even straight up rips, like, because they're famous and you'll eventually learn about them, but there are famous like photo shoots that have happened in the gun world that are like, to us, they're all funny. Like HK put out a ad one time and all the rounds were loaded backwards in the magazine, not on purpose. They didn't do it on purpose.
Oh, really?
But it was like that, like blew up the internet for a while. Like
We're big fans of ripping off, like, we steal people's logos and do
Yeah,
that
yeah.
shit. Like, we love that kind of stuff. And I feel like we always are looking for like, oh, what's like a cool thing we can rip off? Like, I feel like all like the old, like obviously everybody knows the chicks shooting automatic guns in like bikinis,
Yeah,
like all that stuff.
Yeah.
And like, what was it? What was the picture of the guy with the two, is it two Glocks like together with the scope on it? You ever see that
I don't
picture?
know if I've seen it.
He looks fucking like Charles. He looks like Charles Bronson. He's a crazy looking human being. And he has like this, like, it's two Glocks that they're attached with a scope in the middle, and you shoot it.
That's
you shoot it like
crazy.
this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do we do that with motorcycle? Like
Yeah.
there's nothing exact. Like I don't have anything that I can
No,
think
yeah,
of
of
right
course,
at the
of
moment.
course.
But like, yeah, I'm like stuff like that, like just hilarious,
Yeah.
weird, like I don't know. I thought that was like a well-known. I was like, it's so ridiculous.
It probably
has to be
is, and
well-known.
I just don't know
Yeah.
shit. But
Yeah,
but I mean,
don't.
you see like fabrication wise, like you see like the bayonets in sissy bars all the
Yeah.
time, shit like that.
Right.
So I'm curious, and I've seen like revolver cylinders on stuff before. and
Yeah,
that
yeah.
kind of shit.
Shout out
like-
Jesse James.
Yeah, yeah.
I've the double barrel. There's a cool double barrel shotgun jockey shifter
That's
that
cool,
like
yeah.
I've never found one in the wild, but I've seen them on bikes.
Yeah.
Like I've never like found it as like a part of a swap
Right.
meet or something like that. So like shit like that's cool. Like you could like trying to bring something like that to like a new age
Yeah,
would
yeah.
be cool, but
without
like
making it corny.
without making it corny, it's just tough. It's like it and I feel like too, like we're so new to this that like we really have just scratched the surface.
Right,
of
absolutely.
all of it. So like, who knows, man?
Yeah.
You know, like we do want to steal Grand Thumb's like intros though on that like those like epic.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's super
we want
gnarly.
to find a way to make an epic intro for every
yeah, you
video.
should.
Yeah, like just somehow some like cinematic and then it just be back into the stupid vlogs.
Yeah,
that we
yeah.
do.
No, I think it's
Kind of what
important.
they do in general. Just
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
guns, yeah.
Yeah, his editor Micah Mayfield is because I don't know if you've seen it, but Mike has his own channel.
Yeah,
as
I've
well.
seen it. Yeah,
He's so good at what he does, and now like you see just blatant rips, like by dudes that are friends with them. Like
Yeah.
administrative results is buddies with them, but like if you go watch an administrative results video, you're like, this is just
the same shit.
great value Garand thumb.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, and he's trying to do his own thing, but it's not. It's,
I actually watched Micah's video on the fix.
okay.
When I picked it, I was
Hell
like, I
yeah.
gotta watch some stuff. So I watched his, like the whole breakdown of his
Yeah.
and stuff like that on it, which
Hell
was
yeah.
sick. It was awesome.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, he did a good job.
Yeah. Yeah. That video was great. And then I also watch a lot of the is it CF it's CF with the guys that always do like the top 5
Oh, classic
Classic
firearms.
classic
Yeah.
firearms.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they were just up here. Yeah.
Yeah, I watch their shit because like I know so little about like brand because you can't shoot any of them. Like I can't.
Right.
So I don't know how any of them operate. I can only shoot the ones that my friends have, and we don't have a ton of stuff. So it's like, I just watch those guys like top fives of this, top fives of that, like, a lot.
That's kind of been the theme for the gun world in general, especially with the consumer. Cause like you said, it's expensive and like I can't just go buy one and then be like, I don't like it. And then I guess I could, but I can't go buy 5 at a time. Be like, let me figure out which one.
Yeah.
And granted, up here, we're lucky. Like we have a place, White Birch Armory down the street. They're an indoor range and they have a bunch of guns that you can just go try out. At least it's an indoor range. It's a very good indoor range. Mm-hmm. I don't like shooting at indoor ranges. Just don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
Almost no one shoots suppressed also, which is like, it's not their fault, but it is their fault at the same time. But
for a state that you can shoot suppressed, why wouldn't you just shoot it all the time?
Yeah, exactly. And that's another thing. It all comes down to education. Like a lot of people don't realize that there is a little barrier of entry for NFA items like cans, SBRs, that.
Right.
But it's not out of control and it's become a lot easier. And right now you're getting forms approved super fast. So the barrier of entry is not crazy. So more people should, but they don't know what they don't know. And I think that's kind of
getting into it. When I saw people that had suppressors, I was like, "What?
Yeah,
I can do that,
right?"
And then I can't.
No.
So
yeah.
Well, when
Massachusetts,
like when you see like, I mean, shit. When we met you and saw what and heard about Q, like seeing the honey badger and seeing all the stuff, and you're like, fuck, I want that.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh shit, I can't have it. And then we'd be calling each other being like, but wait, but can we have it?
Yeah,
like,
what if we do it this way?
Hold on. Like, can
turn
we
it
like
upside down?
Yeah, we're like, I'm not like, wait, but the law says it's like, it's so gray and it sucks so much that you're just like, what the fuck? Like it sucks dick to live in Mass.
Yeah. And not in a good way.
And not in a good way. Exactly. And not in like a cool way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you guys will definitely have to change your residency.
100%.
Just move out of Mass. But
we're trying to figure out how to move our entire operation and all of our families up to and convince them.
Leave the families behind.
I might never go home after this, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we got an extra desk.
Perfect.
Take it, perfect. We're hiring a content creator. If you guys want to.
Hey, we can do it.
What's up? I'll never go home.
There you go.
My daughter will live without a father. I grew up without a father. She can grow up without a father.
Yeah,
you turned out all right.
I turned out okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Into guns, motorcycles, and
you
tattoos.
Found your dad recently. He was building bikes down south.
Oh yeah, I did. And that motherfucker will not acknowledge me.
You found out he's famous. How cool
He
is
is,
that?
and has a lot of money, more money than I do, and won't buy me a Christmas gift. No. Okay,
that's all right.
That's okay. Shout out Billy Lane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shout out to Billy Lane.
Yeah. I guess I think moving forward, like, are there things, because now you are familiar with a lot of these companies. Is there any that I know you've talked about Warm Fuzzy, the Granthams. Is there anyone out there that's like, you see what they're doing and you're like, oh, they're doing it right. Like, I like their content, guns specifically. Cause like Warm Fuzzy is adjacent. Some of the other companies like Doghead Collective, they do gun stuff, but they're also adjacent. If you're just scrolling through your feed, do you ever see gun companies specifically like, I always like what they're doing, or they're like, it's fucking.
I mean, Glock, of course.
Yeah,
perfection. Glock perfection.
Yeah. Why would I say anything else? You know?
Yeah, it's not really. To be honest with you, there's not like. There's just guys that are doing gun content that
we're still adjacent.
Yeah,
right.
They're still It's not like directly like your guys' shit's sick, but like there's not really anybody like the company themselves doing like content like that. You know, it's just not out there.
And that's something we talk about. Like we're possibly expanding on is like, because it's a gray area. Like people don't understand. And especially now that there's some people who have set some precedents where it's like some of the shootings that have happened, like Remington settled in a civil case. And basically, civil case is not admitting guilt or like whatever, but the public perceives it as, oh, you're saying you're responsible for. They made some ads basically being like, regain your man card or something like that. Buy this gun, just like old school, like kind of gnarly.
There's a lot. I can tell. I mean, from an outsider, like coming in, like they're stuck in the past. Like there's a lot of guys stuck in the past.
Yeah.
Like,
and they're like, I mean, it's most recently, I don't know if you saw it, but big company Ruger got outed for an ad they did a long time ago. They had the hard R line.
Oh yeah, the hard R's. Dude, he showed that to me. I was like, this isn't real. This is
That's what I thought. I thought it wasn't.
And you
real.
were like, and he was like, no, dude, this is legit.
Yeah,
like,
and that just comes down to like some old head at the place just being like, just not knowing.
Of course,
like, yeah, sure, send it. Yeah, cool.
Hard R, yeah.
Rugged or whatever, yeah.
Right.
But yeah, I think so. It's kind of hard as a company. I think historically, like Noveski's done a good job of it. We try to do outside the box stuff. Like we just did a commercial, the silencer commercial. It was like that. We did a rip of the Campbell's or
Chef Boyardee.
Chef Boyardee, like
the rolling.
yeah,
I saw
exactly.
that.
Yeah, we just did a rip of that. Like we're just trying to have fun. Like again, it's not super serious. It's serious, but and a lot of companies, I think they get nervous in that like, hey, we got to cover our ass. We can't do anything that could be perceived the wrong way, and we're just trying to find our way through that. I think.
I know I'm still new, but like I don't think there's any other company that has a building like this. You know, like a marketing building, like.
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
Google up in
No,
this bitch.
absolutely. Yeah. I was going to say, like, SIG, you'd be very impressed with SIG's, like, manufacturing facility, like the size and the amount of machines. But no, they have nothing. They have a boardroom.
It all feels very, all those kind of companies, like, feel like very militarized style.
like
corporate, like, suit and tie, like, hey, when you come in here, this is serious. Like, which it was. I mean, here it's serious, but like it's like we're having a good time. Like we're joking around the whole time. We're having fun. Like I don't know anybody over there or at any other companies, but you know, it's like that when you go to the big bike shit. Like you go to a Harley Davidson dealership, it sucks.
Yeah,
it's a fucking nightmare. Those guys are just trying to get your goddamn money. Like our buddy of ours just bought an ST, and like it took him like 8 hours to just get them to agree to not sell him a fucking gray bike.
Right.
I'm like, why? He's like, dude, they painted everything gray because everybody likes gray now. He's like, I wanted a fucking black bike. He's like, it took them forever to do it.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a fucking nightmare.
The experience is the big thing for us. Like, and it's not like not everyone in the public can just come in and get the experience of Q.
Right.
Granted, we try to allow that with these customer builds, things like that, where you can pay to come and you buy your gun, you can build the gun with the engineer that designed it. Like we try to bring people in as best as we can. Like there's too many people. We can't just let everyone come in, but the experience is the big thing for us. And I can promise you, like everyone here that I worked at SIG for 4 years, like everyone here that worked at SIG or another gun company that's local, I think they're much happier every day coming into work here, where you don't.
You can tell.
Put in your punch clock or whatever your little fucking thing,
right?
Whatever.
I think it's we're beyond that now, but yeah,
exactly. Whatever. Yeah. Well, no, it's digital at SIG, but you have to clock in, clock out.
Okay,
like, you don't have to do that here. Like everyone, Kevin knew what SIG was and what people were coming from, and he decided like I don't want it to be that, like because this is what like. We just looked at the fix. Like there are no common parts on that gun with the exception of some springs and some detents and like the grip, the pistol grip. Dudes had to design that out of thin air.
Right.
And like what breeds creativity is like the freedom, the people having good morale, like, or that's what gets these guys to be productive.
Yeah.
So, and Kevin knows that. So like, especially this building, like marketing, engineering, and we have some sales here as well, but it's like, you kind of just, everyone else, he's told like the guy, because as we're growing, we're trying to maintain who we are while also being able to grow. And he's had to tell like the kind of the corporate side, the guys that are very business minded and numbers minded, like, hey, look, that building, like they do things a little differently. Just leave them alone. Like as long as the stuff's going to get done, just let them do their thing.
It's cool to have a guy that can get your back like that. Cause I feel like a lot of places start out that way and then that guy leaves and it turns back into the regular standard shit as always, you know, all the amazing ideas go out the door because they're like, nope, we're just here for the bottom line and that's it. And it's the same shit with bikes, you know, it's the same stuff and it's the same. And you can tell the difference. Like even from like every logo I see from gun companies is like some crazy long overdone with like a fucking, you know, red dot or like some, you know,
tough guy armament.
Like
something armament, something syndicate.
Exactly. And it's like, oh, it's just Q. I'm like, oh, okay, what the fuck is that? Like, you know, we kind of did that with our bike shop because like our logo's a fucking pineapple. Like why on earth would you have your bike shop? Like I literally told a guy one time that the name of the shop is the Eazy Company and he goes, Strange you didn't name your motorcycle shop motorcycle, like with a motorcycle in it. He's like, wouldn't it make sense to put motorcycle in the name? And I was like, yeah, I guess. Like, you know, it's like, oh, it should be two pistons crossed or like, you know, a fucking exploded knucklehead head or some bullshit like that. It's like, we were like, we want to be able to take the logo that we have and put it on whatever and make it like uniformed and make it like something that it doesn't have to be a bike thing. Like it can be whatever,
Right.
You know, a pineapple lightning bolts can be whatever, I guess. So
Yeah.
it's like,
And
I guess it means swingers, but we just found that out like not that long ago. So
Right.
whatever.
yeah, we found out that Q and QAnon are a thing too.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
yeah. But
Yeah.
like, I mean, that's very similar to where it came from. With people always ask, what does Q mean? And we shy away from it sometimes, but whatever. There's really no meaning. It just Kevin owned Advanced Armament Corporation for however long, and would have to write that on shit.
Yeah, it's a crazy name.
And when he decided I'm going to do Q, he was like, I don't want to have to write all that shit out. And he was like, and I want something like, you look at Nike, they have the swoosh.
Right.
Like you look at Adidas and they have the little whatever.
Right.
Like, he's like, I want something that is easy and it doesn't, it's not a word. It can be an icon. It can be a symbol.
Yeah. That's how we thought about, we were like, oh, imagine being able to just have the little pineapple on like some flannel, like just like, that's like just different shit that we don't have to worry about, like printing this name on it and like it being, you know, Tommy's hog supply or whatever.
Worcester Guys Cycles.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. Worcester Choppers Custom Motorcycle Emporium or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's cool. And the more that I sit and think about it, the more that we talk about it, I think that what you guys are doing is similar to, in my mind, to what we're doing in your respective space. Basically, like you said, where you went from the guy in their garage trying to teach you how to do whatever, do head work on your bike, but you can't see it because it's grainy and whatever. And you've brought in that vlog style, the kind of the in between the hijinks, basically. Like you look at Baker 3 was the hijinks video.
Yeah.
And like that's what people want to see. And I think that you guys are doing that. And we're trying to do our not so serious. It's a serious topic, but the in between bullshit, let's have fun with it.
I feel like there's going to be a point where it's like you're not going to be able to sell your shit unless you're out there, like younger kids. I don't know if you've been around them. They're not exactly paying attention to much. You know, It takes a lot to get their attention. So it's like this is it. Like you got to start doing this shit, or you're out. Like we've seen since we started doing our YouTube channel. I gotta.
Whoa,
nice.
And since we started doing a YouTube channel, like a lot more guys that we would look up to in our industry, like starting to come over and do it. Like, whereas in the beginning we were like, oh man, like everybody thinks this is dumb.
We're
like
so lame.
we used to hate on ourselves, like about it, like being like, this is so lame. Why the hell are we even doing this? Like, you think me and him want to be on camera talking shit, like showing stuff that we're like breaking. Yeah. It's like, not really,
fucking up the paint.
Fucking up. Right. Like
getting it all salty.
Exactly. Like leaving it in the rain because I was on too many mushrooms, like whatever. But like the I fucking forgot where I was going with this, but
just kind of the new generation.
Yeah, like so we thought that, and then all of a sudden, slowly, like guys that we were friends with that we respected in the industry, like we're like, oh, dude, I watch your shit all the time. And we're like, really? And they were like, yeah. And then it was like, oh, this guy's got a YouTube channel now. This guy. And now it's like, it's become, because again, Instagram gets sour. Like it's all videos now on Instagram anyways. Right. So it's like, you better get on it.
Breastfeeding videos.
Exactly. A lot of breastfeeding videos. A lot. Basically our whole search thing.
Thanks, John.
So like, it's either shit to get off the pot at this point.
Yeah.
Like you're better in having a leg up on all these guys. It's like, I'm surprised a lot more companies don't utilize like the influencer guys out there. Like, I still feel like that's kind of like.
Well, it's funny, like in the gun industry, I think that the new generation or the generation that's coming up right now view the influencer type stuff. I don't.
Do they think it's still? Do they still think it's corny?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily mean that in the sense of like. So like, I guess
influencers is a bad word. I guess.
Because technically you could say like Garantham and Micah, like they're technically influencers,
sure.
like whatever. And people like that, like because they're learning stuff, whatever. But as far as like getting the hot chick to wear your company's t-shirt, like there are companies that are doing that and everyone is like, no way.
It's gone. It's like.
But what's crazy is like the companies that are doing that are the older companies that don't have the younger generation. And they're just like, how do we get a hold of the kids?
Right. Right.
We'll bring a hot girl in. And it's like, there's
that will work on a few of them.
Yeah. Yeah. it'll get you more. Yeah. It'll get you more customers. But I think like one thing that, I mean, if you look at out here, like I'm 29, myself and Tommy, who the viewers know who he is, we're the two oldest out there.
Like, yeah, that's wild.
the marketing department for Q is run by dudes that are 22, 23, 26, 25. Like,
Yeah.
and we're all tapped into what's going on. And a lot of us, most of us have hobbies outside of guns. Like guns are our work and like we know about guns, but we're into all other shit. James surfs, like he's into all that stuff. Like I'm way into fly fishing and photography and like he does photography and videography and stuff too. But like we're outside. So it's cool. It's easy for us to bring things that like, oh, I know a lot of people like this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Let's just do this kind of stuff and it involves guns or whatever. And I think that's how you attract people. But we also recognize like for a long time, the gun industry, gun guys would gatekeep the young kids, the younger guys, the dirty kids, the warm fuzzies, the younger guys coming up. They would gatekeep. That's fucking stupid, blah blah blah, without realizing like, hey, that's the next generation. So you either need to figure out how to win them over, or you're just going to not have business.
And then so those guys, again, it's the same. Those guys. What happens? What I see happening is those guys, the Grand Thumbs, all those guys become really, really popular, and then sway the market wherever they want the market to go. Whatever they like is what everyone else is going to like, and then it is fucking crazy. And those companies are like boo-hooing all of it, and they're like, "Well, what the hell did we do wrong?" And it's like, "Well, you kind of shit all over the younger dudes that are doing this." And it's the same. It's the same with motorcycle stuff. Like there's a core group of guys that kind of started like the rebirth of vintage choppers, and like there's the big shows, the Born Free and all that stuff, and they kind of pick and choose like who's in there. Yeah. And a lot of them, it's like kind of a boys club over there. Like they want their guys in there, which I get, but like there's going to be a point where like the younger generation of people that are into this and getting into this are going to choose like who the next person is. And it's like, you don't really have a fucking say. As much as you think you do, you just fucking don't. Like it's just going to be the public choosing, and the public sometimes can suck if you don't, get in there and try to, the public can fucking suck ass. Yeah. So.
And you will see a shift too, like even in guns, like that younger generation of guys. And granted, they're not directly in guns, but the Warm Fuzzies, Doghead Collectives, Tack on Fish, like that group of dudes, Sub Def, Dirty Kid, if you notice, if you follow them and you pay attention, they're always, whether it be SHOT Show, whether it be just like trips that everyone goes to, whatever, it's always this kind of collective of the same guys over and over again. And people like all their shit. Like that's who's about like, it's like the cool kid table or whatever. And they're in a different spot than us because they're adjacent. They don't have to worry about some of the same laws that we do, X, Y, Z. But yeah, the people like, if guys are just going to gatekeep, like I'm a fan of gatekeeping.
Hell yeah.
Certain ways.
Sometimes it has to be done.
Right. But if you're going to just deny what the future is and just be like,
there's a difference.
It doesn't exist, then you're going to get left behind. Like you're going to go from being the number one company to no one thinks about you because everyone's just going to turn and go somewhere else. It's not like you're going to be like usurped. It's like people are just going to go elsewhere.
Right.
And like for us, I think it's important that we need to start marketing. Like a lot of kids heard about the Honey Badger through Call of Duty. Like,
oh really?
Yeah.
See, I don't play video games, so I don't know anything.
So the Honey Badger was in Call of Duty like Ghost or something.
No
back
shit.
In the day. Back the OG Honey Badger. At
AAC. You guys named it after
yes.
that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So Kevin owned AAC. They did the Honey Badger.
Okay.
And then Remington, when Kevin sold to Remington, they didn't want to bring it public to consumers or whatever. So it just disappeared for a while. And then upon Q, Kevin's like, let's just bring it back for the consumer. But it was originally in Call of Duty. So people knew what the Honey Badger was. Then it comes back to market. All those kids that played it growing up, now they can afford guns or they can buy guns. Right. They bought the Honey Badger. It's been in a bunch of video games. The Fix just got put into DayZ or something like that.
No shit.
So it's getting into
video game world is crazy, man. We were just talking about it on the way up for real. Like those dudes are making like ungodly amounts of money on stuff. Rockstar's like one of the biggest companies in the fucking world, dude. They're crazy.
Yeah. And so like there are companies that don't want to get down. They're like, video games for kids. That's stupid. That's not going to sell us guns. And it's like, yeah, it will. Like you got to play the long game.
Right.
Those kids that are playing the video games that are playing with your guns right now are going to just develop because their gun's good in the game. They're just in their mind. They're like, this is one of the best guns in the world.
Yeah.
Once I'm old enough to buy it, I'm going to go buy it.
The same shit as when we were growing up. The reason that Jeff Rowley is my favorite skateboarder is because
I'll tell him you said hi.
Thank you. Shout out Jeff Rowley.
I haven't met him.
fucking
I
love
haven't
you.
met him in person.
Well, I love
either.
you. Is because playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater and seeing and playing, being him, and then watching his video parts in Tony Hawk Pro Skater when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
And then being like, he's got the best board graphics. I want to fucking play as Jeff Rowley. I want to meet Jeff Rowley. Shout out Jeff Rowley.
Yeah. When he does our decks, I'll send you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, coming into this, I was just thinking about having you guys on, knowing who you guys were and like knowing the demographic would be different. I just thought of it as like, oh, you guys are consumers. You guys are from the outside looking in. Like, let's see what it's like on that. But now the more that I think about it, the more I think we are aligned in our respective industry. I think that I didn't sit down and think about it before, but I think you're doing new stuff. I think that you're similar to us where you're embracing that new generation and you're just trying to kind of open it up to everyone.
Right.
Like, I don't think you're trying to say like, I don't want old dudes to watch the content.
A lot of old guys watch.
Right.
So many.
Yeah.
But you're also saying like, hey, we want just we're just doing it because we think it's cool and we want anyone to be able to.
Yeah. It was just kind of it was like we were just bored, honestly. It was out of pure boredom.
Yeah.
And him being sick of Instagram.
And now I feel like if you're a company and you don't have YouTube, what the fuck are you doing?
100%.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah. There's a reason it's the like second biggest search engine in the world or whatever. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's cool. And it's cool that you're able to, because it's funny because like we try to be cutting edge, do new stuff, innovate all of the time. And you guys are focused in an industry where you're only working on 60, 70-year-old bikes.
Antiquated pieces of shit.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
So it's like, how do are there innovations that you see? Like, how does one innovate in that?
It's
Make a new bike and put an Evo in there or something? Like,
yeah, it's honestly like the envelope gets pushed with all the other shit around it. Like the motor and transmission are the motor. Like you can go crazy with that stuff and you can get like really gnarly with the motor and transmission. But like it's all the stuff around it too, like the frame, the tank, like how the overall look of the bike. Like,
right. It's art.
It's all yeah. And it's just like in the like what kind of pushed us even further is like to get into it when we were first starting is like the fabrication aspect. It's like, oh, these guys are building like really crazy shit with just like the stuff that we were going to high school and learned how to use, you know what I mean? A TIG welder and a lathe and a mill and like all that stuff. It's like, all right, cool. We have all that. I know how to use it. Let's see what we can build. And like, you just push yourself further and further and further. It's more of like a game with yourself. How like the next bike that you can build that is cooler or more innovative for you,
right?
You know,
something you haven't done yet.
Something you haven't done, like like that knucklehead we built with the stainless shit. Like that was just an idea that I had because I wanted to have a stainless bike, but you can't really build a bike fully out of stainless and ride it. It's just doesn't make sense. So I was like, oh, how can I do it and still make it a rideable bike? You know, and like built that thing and spent way too much goddamn time on it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, but that's cool. Like, all right, cool. I set the bar for myself on that. What's the fucking next thing we can do?
Yeah.
You know?
And that's similar. I mean, that kind of answers my question. Cause like for us, it's like, we have to do the new thing and we set like 8.6, like we just put out 8.6 and now, a lot of people, oh, it's a flash in the pan. Shut the fuck up. But like, that's the cutting edge thing. So for us, we're like, okay, what's the next thing? Like, how do we improve on that? How do we, and that's just, and I see the resemblance in what you're saying. Like, even though you're working with older stuff or whatever, it's like the motor's going to be the motor.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, well, how can I make this one better than the last one?
Yeah. How can you kind of innovate like the overall motorcycle? Like, how can you like, and there's guys out there doing it like way crazier. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So it's like,
But I mean, each scene is so different too. Like the Japanese scene compared to like here, compared to out west, like that's all cool. And that's for hopefully people that are watching that are into guns that may have been like, I like motorcycles too. Like hopefully they start learning about, like, hopefully this at least gets one person to be like, I'm going to go check out their channel and fucking learn some shit. Like,
and you know, vice versa. I mean, there's a ton of overlap. It's
100%.
Like, I mean, it's,
and a lot of people, as crazy it is, as grown adult men, they're afraid to be like, yeah, I'm a gun guy. And then, but they're like, oh, but I also like bikes.
yeah.
And they're afraid to tell people, like,
that's so weird.
It's like on Saturday, they're bike guys. On Sunday, they're gun guys or whatever. It's strange.
It's like all in line.
Right.
Fast, loud.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Dangerous.
Dangerous as fuck.
Yeah. Regulated, scary.
Right.
Yeah.
The government fucking hates it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just, it is a lot of the same shit. And then back to like innovating all the stuff. Like if you don't have a way to push that shit out, no one's going to really see it or care. So
Right.
it's like, you got to have all of it. You got to have the way to get you got to have the means to build it and do it. And then you got to have the way to push it out there and like let people see it. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, how else do you even fucking function
Right.
as a business if
Yeah,
you don't do that
exactly.
kind of stuff, you know?
For sure. Yeah, I guess. So for the people that are just hearing of you, the public, can they have you guys build bikes for them, or how does that work?
Yeah, hit us up. Shoot us an email at theeasyco@gmail.com if you want a bike built. Or you can go to our website.
Yeah.
Either one works, or DM us on Instagram.
John's phone number is on the website.
No,
so-
don't. Let's not do
Definitely.
that. My phone number is on the. If you have knucklehead parts, we are looking to buy them.
Hell yeah.
Okay, we're looking for knucklehead parts, panhead parts.
New audience, dude.
I was gonna say, this
Yeah.
might do it for
if
you.
if you have an old crappy motorcycle that says Harley Davidson on it in your garage, and your grandfather was like, "That's mine. Don't ever sell it," but then he passed away, and you want to sell it now, shout out to us.
or make it look cool.
All right. Yeah. Or make it look cool and get it running for you. We can do all that, or we will buy it off you. Okay. So we are looking for knucklehead parts.
Yeah.
All right.
Awesome. And is it mostly dudes they have a bike and they just come to you and be like, can you make it look cool? Or do they go, you guys search for the,
It's
I
both.
wish. Yeah.
It's kind of both. Like
Yeah.
we've done both, where guys start with something and bring it to us, and they're like, "Can we make this a chopper?" Or they're like, "Hey, I have no idea or have time to find a bike. Can you do it?" Or we have stuff for sale. Like it just depends on the time of the year that you hit us up. You know what I mean? If it's
and you guys do raffles all the time too. Like
Yep.
that's a cool one.
Yep, and just hit Instagram. Follow us on Instagram, the Eazy Co.
Yeah.
With a Z, and you can keep up with all the shit we're doing. And then YouTube too. We do
yeah.
all that stuff. So all the information is out there in the world.
I'm going to source like a random like Virago and have you guys. Like,
We won't do it. We'll just say no.
Yeah, leave it outside.
yeah. No thanks.
Yeah.
We've had that guy show up.
I believe it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much the only ways of hitting us up. Unless you call me directly, because Craig wanted to put that out there.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Tight.
Oh,
Well,
another little idea that I wanted to do
Yeah,
is we ride choppers at night with night vision on.
Yeah. Hell
we
yeah.
can arrange that.
That
for
is
sure.
something that I would like. Yeah.
So Nocturne Industries, shout out to them. They're a night vision company. They do 3D printed housings. They're coming up. They're in. They're like 40 minutes away from here,
Sick.
and they're cool dudes. They can probably get that sorted. But
Super safe idea. Let's
It's
do
a genius idea. You can see
you'll
at
be
night
fine.
with them.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
Duh.
Your depth perception's a little weird, and
That's okay.
sometimes but now like modern night vision, you're good. You can
Yeah.
figure it all out.
It's way better than the headlights we have on those stupid things now. So.
Yeah, yeah. You
Guaranteed.
guys don't have brakes on your bikes and
No.
stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Shout out to
Um,
drum brakes.
but yeah, we'll get you up when it dries out a little bit and it's not so wet. We'll get you up to the range too. You guys we'll see how those bikes do off road a little
Hell
bit.
yeah, let's get it.
And we'll get you to the range and have you shoot those. But I think we're gonna go pull that hunk of junk out of the back of your
Yeah, take some pictures.
van, take some pictures, scare the neighbors.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Right
Let's
on.
go.
Well, thank you guys for coming on, and hopefully you're enjoying the gun world so far. And
So far,
It's
treating
been
us
lovely.
nicely, Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been lovely.
yeah,
Yeah.
right
Thank
on.
you.
No, of course, man.
Yeah, this is unbelievable. Thank you so much.
Just
This
make
rules.
sure you mention us in your vlogs, and we'll be good.
Hell yeah, no problem. We'll mention you guys every single goddamn time.
Right on. Yeah, I'll try to get you a sponsorship.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Right on. Cool. Well, thank you guys for coming up, and hopefully these people listening aren't afraid to have other hobbies other than guns. And
We'll
be
find
scared.
out.
yeah.
Yeah, don't be scared. We're nice. Just give me a call, I guess.
Call Sean.